I want to talk about the pseudosavior or the fake angel, which is the person in conflict that positions themselves as superior to you. You are just so bad that we can't come to a resolution. Had you not been here, though, the resolution would have been found because they have such a prowess in this department. So for background, what's required to resolve a misunderstanding very loosely is a curiosity to understand the person who took the initiative to come to you with their issue. That is all that's required for that first phase of this. Now, the pseudosavior will go down a counterproductive path. And there's a specific avenue that some men go down. And yes, it's predominantly men. And I'll use the popular phrase, not all men, and sometimes it can be women, so you guys don't have to comment it. They decide to approach it from the lens of, I understand what really is happening here. And they want to cheat the process, so to speak. So they hijack the entire operation and navigate it from a place of subtle superiority. They want to circumvent the actual emotional labor it takes to understand the harm they've done to the other person. So they feel like they understand what's at the core here. And they position themselves in this artificial bird's eye view that they feel is logical, unlike you. They'll say, it's not that I was inconsiderate, it's not that I offended you, it's actually a secret third thing. And whatever it is, as soon as they say it, that is the truth. So they take out the listening portion of the conversation and they play both roles. Because they are yet to ask you what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and what specifically led us here. And then they start policing the remainder of the conversation play by play and how they presume this conversation ought to go. And the nefarious nature of this is that it positions them as number one objective, which they aren't, specifically about the way or the why of what you're feeling. And number two, it positions them as the arbiter of the truth, where they know all. But you could only hope to see the subsolar point where the sun hits the earth, because that's all your cute pea brain can handle, because they know better. This person is usually neurotic and controlling. Now, the ironic thing is the only person that goes down this path of like posturing authoritative emotional prowess are pseudo-intellectuals. And it gives the same vibe as the mansplainer, which, if you didn't already know, is a term coined for predominantly males, but it does not have to be male. It's just predominantly a male phenomenon. So a man that explains something that a woman already knows, but he explains it to her because he assumes that he knows it better or that she doesn't know it all. Anyways, it is the same kind of person because it is that same intersection between cluelessness and overconfidence. Because only someone with very dim insights could cosplay the savior being the key to the resolution of the problem, while also adding a bigger problem by making their ego the main character in all this. Because they need to be the savior, they need to be the angel, they need to be the one that's better than you. Because anyone with an IQ over 100 knows it's juvenile. Juvenile to pretend to be a team player while also condescending your teammate and operating under the assumption that you're the better part of the team. And it's ridiculous to think that that should go over well with them. And then they'll proceed to police the argument under the assumption that they are right and they know the perfect way to proceed. So if I say, the way that you're speaking about marriage and children really makes me uncomfortable, it makes me feel like, our goals aren't aligned in the future. They'll fire back and say, that's not how you should speak to me. You should have asked me, hey, how do you feel about children and marriage? Instead of just assuming I'm not family oriented or a family man. Now, not only is that neurotic and controlling, it just isn't realistic. The metric for operating a discussion is not your partner following an arbitrary script that they were not given. And once again, it's just truly the cross-section between cluelessness and overconfidence. And they'll say, you're a bad fighter, once again, giving them the crown and authority to say what is good and bad. And coincidentally, everything they do and say is good. And don't wait for this to shock you, everything you do is bad, right? You guessed it. Now, everyone should know in conflict with your partner, there are no angels and devils. And if you're trying to make someone out to be a devil, you are closer to a devil than you will ever be to an angel. So yeah, the intellectual depth is not there. The reasoning is not there. The logic loops never loop all the way around. They get maybe close, but never all the way around. And the comprehension just isn't there. And the emotional intelligence it might be there for friends because, listen, they're pseudo-intellectual. So to their friends, they need to be right. But the application of this so-called EQ in a relationship and its corresponding compassion is not there. So yeah, getting zeros across the board there for the relationship EQ. But this category of person, the pseudo-savior or the fake angel, this category of person has zero awareness and zero insight as to why their romantic relationships do not go well. But it isn't surprising to anyone that's been in a relationship with them. But don't worry, in their head, the other romantic problem has always been the issue and will always be the issue. Because they just know better. You were so lucky to have such a wise partner and you never deserved them to begin with. And you could show them this video and they'd be like, I totally relate to the video. Because that's you. That is how little awareness they have. That is how far removed they are from their own contribution to things. Like I said, the intersection between overconfidence and cluelessness, that is them, right in that corner. That's where they live. Guys, I am not joking when I say they do not have a clue. They don't have the capacity. You would have to rewire their entire identity. And I don't know that they would ever recover from step one, which is just acknowledging that they're not as smart as they think they are. Like, that alone might kill them. And you could take them to couples therapy, but they would just go in there and try to manipulate the therapist, try to use them as a referee to award them points. But yeah, you can tell who they are because they overcompensate in every other way too. You will have just a better relationship with someone that has actual emotional intelligence as opposed to pseudo intelligence. Just something to look forward to.